They were once TV's most untouchable family, but 2025 has revealed a truth nobody expected. From heartbreaking tragedy to shocking scandals to the jaw-dropping comeback that fans didn't see coming, what really happened to the Browns after the cameras stopped rolling? Today, we're digging into the secrets, the headlines, and the redemption story that's rewriting their legacy. For more than a decade, the Brown family, the rough-hewn, beard-sporting cast of Discovery's once ubiquitous Alaskan bush people, were a reality TV fixture, an eccentric clan of survivalists who alternately baffled and enchanted viewers with their tales of living off the land, home-built boats, and family feuds. But by 2025, the narrative had shifted from rustic adventure to something more bittersweet and complicated. Deaths and legal fights, relationship breakups and health scares, career reinventions, and, in a few surprising cases, comebacks. This is the Brown family in 2025, where they are, what they've been through, and what life looks like now for a group who once felt immune to ordinary celebrity rules. A show that refused to stay small, Alaskan Bush People debuted in 2014 and built a following by offering an unusual blend of survivalism and family soap opera. Over the years, the show moved with the family from Chichagof Island, Alaska, to Washington State as the Browns navigated health problems, public controversies, and the strain of broadcasting private life to millions. By the time Discovery ceased regular broadcasts of the series in the early 2020s, the family had already become part of pop culture shorthand, except the shorthand didn't always match reality. The patriarch's death and the estate fight. Perhaps nothing has altered the family's trajectory more than the loss of patriarch Billy Brown. Billy, the gravel-voiced head of the clan, died in recent years. His passing not only left a personal void, but also opened a legal and financial scramble that lingered into 2025. After Billy's death, his estate became the subject of at least one lawsuit from a former business partner claiming unpaid contractual obligations tied to the family's intellectual property and income streams, a high-profile legal dispute that helped fuel headlines about whether the show could continue and whether the family would be able to keep control of the Brown brand. Ami Brown's health scares and the family's relocations. Ami Brown, Billy's wife and the Browns' matriarch, has periodically battled serious health problems, struggles that played a role in the family's move from the remote Alaskan bush to more settled life in Washington state. In early 2025, there were fresh concerns after an Instagram video and other family updates referenced hospitalization and health monitoring for Ami, triggering an outpouring of fan support and renewed scrutiny of the family's future plans. The reality of medical vulnerability, after years of rugged television mythology, forced a recalibration for the Browns. No one is invincible, and long-term healthcare needs change the calculus of living off the grid. Siblings scattered, departures, sobriety, and private struggles. Individual Browns have taken divergent paths since the series' peak. Matt Brown, one of the older children who was a lightning rod for discussion while the show aired, has reportedly stepped away from the family's public life and at times struggled with sobriety. His personal battles, documented in social posts and sporadic interviews, have created concern among fans and family alike, and have been part of a broader pattern in which dramatic personal news tends to follow the Browns even when they try to retreat from fame. Meanwhile, other siblings, like Joshua Bam Bam Brown and Noah, have pursued quieter lives, sometimes balancing family responsibilities with side projects and small business ventures. Some family members have embraced the lower profile, others have kept a steady online presence, using social platforms to shape their own post-show identities. Bear Brown, separation, spin-off plans, and a partial return. If there's been a one-name Brown who dominated headlines in 2025, it's Bear Brown. Bear, perhaps the family's most media-savvy and volatile member, has been at the center of several public developments. He and his wife Raven announced a mutual separation in April 2025 after years of an on-again, off-again relationship. The split emphasized co-parenting and a lack of ill will, but it nevertheless punctuated a season of instability for the couple and their young children. At the same time, Bear has toyed with the idea of returning to on-camera life. After posting videos and updates teasing Alaska and new projects, he suggested possibilities for spin-off content that would follow his life behind the scenes, a move that, if it materializes, would mark a shift from family ensemble programming to personality-driven content anchored by Bear himself. Whether networks will invest in such a pivot remains uncertain, but Bear's combination of raw candidness and an established fan base gives him a shot at rebranding as a solo reality figure in a media landscape hungry for authentic, unvarnished personalities. Raven and relationship fallout. Raven has been a quieter figure in the post-show era, emphasizing stability for the children and a cooperative approach to co-parenting. The public statements announcing the split stressed no anger and a desire to protect the family's youngest members, a rare example of a celebrity split framed primarily around practical parenting concerns rather than scorched earth tabloid drama. Still, the attention around Bear and Raven's relationship served as a reminder that private choices among the Browns routinely become public property. The show's status: canceled, contested, or evolving. Though the series itself effectively went off air in 2022, the legacy of Alaskan bush people continued to ripple. Discovery's decision to stop producing the series and the subsequent reporting that the show had been canceled came amid the estate disputes and waning ratings, complexities that kicked up more coverage when a former business partner filed suit seeking substantial damages from Billy's estate. Those legal entanglements, along with family members' own choices to step back or retool their public profiles, made a straightforward continuation unlikely. Yet the Browns story hasn't evaporated. Social media, interviews, and rumors of spin-offs have kept the family in the cultural conversation. Lesser-known members and the quieter exits. Not all Browns sought the spotlight. Rain and Snowbird have largely favored lower profiles, focusing on parenting, local work, and community. Noah's life after the show has been punctuated by family development and a retreat from national attention. That retreat, often deep and sincere, contradicts the performative nature of reality TV and underlines one of the paradoxes of the show. For a family built on extreme visibility, many members now choose privacy. Online fandom, conspiracy, and the rumor mill. When a family is as conspicuous as the Browns, online aficionados will fill informational voids with speculation. The Browns have been frequent targets of fan theories, conspiracy threads, and renegade reporting. Many of the more outlandish claims circulate in private Facebook groups and tabloid sites. That atmosphere of rumor-making intensified after the show ended, because the public craved updates, but the family, understandably or not, provided them only sporadically.
The result has been a fragmented storyscape in which verified facts and gossip commingle, complicating any effort to create a definitive "where are they now" narrative. Legal aftershocks: money, rights, and reputation. Beyond the estate litigation tied to Billy's death, the Browns have weathered smaller legal skirmishes, protection order filings, and the occasional police report tied to domestic disputes or interpersonal conflicts. Those incidents, often amplified by social media, have fed a long tail of reputational damage even as they generated sympathy in other quarters. Financial scrutiny, too, followed the show's end as journalists and commentators attempted to reconcile the family's TV earnings with what remained of Billy's estate and the assets listed in probate filings. The picture that emerges is one of complicated bookkeeping and fractured trust among former partners and acquaintances. Unexpected comebacks and the personal rebrand. Not all of the Browns' 2025 headlines were grim. Several family members have pursued new beginnings, smaller regional media appearances, local business ventures, even the occasional burst of online content that reclaims a narrative on their terms. For instance, Bear's flirtation with a behind-the-scenes spin-off and other members' social presences point to a pragmatic approach. Capitalize on name recognition where possible, but don't hinge one's entire livelihood on a legacy franchise that can be litigated away. In practice, that has meant diversified income streams, from merchandise and YouTube clips to appearances and private events. The human cost: grief, parenting, and private repair. If the Browns' public drama makes for salacious headlines, there is a quieter, more human story beneath the noise. The family's grief for Billy, repeated health scares, and the strain of maintaining relationships in public view have all taken emotional tolls. Members who are parents now face the ordinary tasks of raising children in the modern world: screen time, schooling choices, and the challenge of carving out secure family life after years of instability. Several Browns have emphasized in posts and interviews a desire to put children first and to avoid repeating the cycle of conflict that once animated the show's most dramatic episodes. What the Browns mean to reality TV now. The Brown family's arc underscores how reality TV can elevate a family's profile while simultaneously exposing its vulnerabilities. Their trajectory, from cultish popularity to cancellation, legal dispute, and fractured private lives, is a cautionary tale about the costs of monetizing family dramas. But it's also a story of resilience, a reminder that even when a show ends, the people involved continue to live complicated, imperfect lives that don't fit neatly into a season finale. Industry observers note that the Browns help normalize certain kinds of outdoorsy, survivalist programming, and elements of that aesthetic have filtered into newer shows, even as the Browns themselves have become less central to the genre. The possibility of return and why fans still care. Despite the cancellation and the legal disputes, there remains a persistent fan interest in one question: will the Browns come back? The answer is mixed. Network executives are cautious because the family's legal and reputational baggage raises risk. Streaming platforms can be opportunistic, buying into cult followings for niche content. Some Browns, Bear chief among them, are trying to keep the door ajar for future projects on their terms, which may look less like network reality shows and more like creator-led social media enterprises. For fans, the emotional investment is less about episodes than about members they once felt like they knew, and that human connection is hard to erase. A final note on truth and storytelling. The Brown family's post-show life also raises a meta-question for reality television. What part of these stories was real, and what part was produced for entertainment? For years, critics accused Alaskan bush people of staging scenes or exaggerating the family's wilderness lifestyle. In a post-show world, where the family's private trials and public disputes are now the main narrative, viewers are left to decide what to believe. That ambiguity is both the show's legacy and its problem. Compelling characters can draw viewers in, but the messy aftermath shows how unsustainable perpetual spectacle can be for the people at the center of it. Where the Browns stand today. In 2025, the Browns are scattered, some parenting quietly, some litigating, some pursuing fresh starts, and some flirting with a return to the camera. They are, like many reality families, simultaneously public property and private people. Fans who remember the early days of chimney smoke portraits and bushcraft tutorials will find that the current story is less about survival tips and more about very human questions of loss, responsibility, and how to make money and meaning after fame fades. The story of the Brown family in 2025 is not a single narrative but a montage. Grief and resilience, scandals and small triumphs, legal filings and family dinners. It's also a reminder that reality TV's most enduring characters are not celebrities so much as unresolved stories, and some of those stories are still being written. For the Browns, as for many families who became famous overnight, the future will likely be a mix of private repair and public reinvention, with the occasional headline to remind everyone that they were once the subject of a nation's curiosity. Sources include contemporaneous reporting from People, Parade, Discovery's show pages, Collider, IMDb, and other entertainment outlets reporting on the Browns' estate litigation, family health updates, relationship developments, and the show's status in 2025. The Browns spent years promoting a story of survival, hunting game, building shelters, and living far from the rules of modern society.
But in 2025, distance from the wild hasn't protected them from a different kind of danger. Lawsuits, medical emergencies, custody concerns, and public splits that show no celebrity family can ever escape the glare of public interest. The lawsuit that still won't go away. One of the most disruptive forces in the family's recent history has been the legal battle triggered after Billy Brown's death. Court filings in 2024 and 2025 describe complicated disagreements involving business revenue from the show, alleged unpaid debts, questions about ownership of intellectual property tied to the Alaskan Bush People brand. According to reports, one former associate claimed that Billy owed substantial money from past business deals related to the series. The estate, allegedly limited in value compared to years of TV earnings, faced ongoing disputes, meaning the Browns are still entangled in a case that could stretch into late 2025. Family insiders say this lawsuit created tension among siblings who disagreed on how to manage what was left and whether to settle or fight. The result? A family once united by frontier living, now divided by paperwork and probate court. Amy Brown, fighting for health and holding the family together. If there is one stabilizing force left, it's Amy. After beating advanced cancer several years earlier, fans hoped her health battles were over. But 2025 brought new fears when family posts hinted at hospital monitoring and specialist visits. Although no exact diagnosis was given, the urgency sounded familiar, and fans rallied behind her with encouragement and prayer. At the same time, Amy reportedly continues to raise some of the younger Brown siblings and grandchildren. With the show gone, she has done so away from cameras, choosing privacy after years of exposure. Despite everything, she remains the emotional center of the family, one of the few constants in a world that keeps shifting. Bear Brown, from chaos to comeback attempt. No Brown has had a more dramatic 2025 than Bear. After years of social media outbursts, run-ins with law enforcement, on-again, off-again relationship drama with wife Raven, Bear finally announced a mutual separation early in the year. The statement was surprisingly calm, almost gentle, with both parents promising peaceful co-parenting and a healthy environment for their children. But then came the unexpected twist. Bear teased a return to television. Cryptic posts and behind-the-scenes clips suggested a potential spin-off focused on his life post-marriage, his children, and real life in the real world. No producers, no script, just me. Whether this becomes a YouTube series, streaming special, or just a marketing experiment remains unknown. But for the first time in years, Bear looked focused rather than destructive. Fans noticed, and so did networks. There has even been speculation that smaller streaming platforms might be interested, especially those hungry for unscripted content with built-in fan bases. Bear may not become a traditional TV star again, but in 2025 he is one of the few Browns actively trying to turn scandal into survival. Raven, choosing privacy over fame. While Bear moved toward the spotlight, Raven did the opposite. She relocated for stability, prioritizing routine over drama. Those close to her say she is focused on child safety, mental health, and avoiding the roller coaster that comes with public life. Her silence, rare in the age of confessional Instagram stories, has made fans curious but also earned respect. It was once impossible to mention Bear without mentioning Raven. In 2025, she is defining herself separately. Matt Brown, The Long Road to Recovery. Once a central figure in the show, Matt's life after reality TV has been defined by his struggle with alcohol and his estrangement from parts of the family. He has lived mostly off-camera, occasionally posting updates from remote rural locations. Some of those videos show a man trying to stay sober, build small projects, and keep a low profile. Others reveal loneliness and the scars that years of addiction leave behind. For fans, Matt is the Brown story that feels unfinished, a son searching for redemption but still too fragile to return home. Bam, Gabe, and Noah, the siblings who walked away. While some Browns remain public, others have slipped almost entirely out of view. Bam Bam, once one of the show's breakout personalities, has kept his life private. Insiders say he works behind the scenes on small productions, enjoys reading, and values anonymity, a radical change for someone raised on television. Gabe continues to live quietly, supporting his children and rarely interacting with the fan base. He has shown up in a few family photos, but avoids drama. Noah is focused on his wife and children and has occasionally teased personal projects, inventions, outdoor gear, and even online tutorials. The once camera-ready inventor prefers silence to storyline. Together, these three represent a shift in the Brown narrative. In 2025, not everyone wants fame. Rain and Snowbird, grief, growing up, and guarding what's left. For the youngest Browns, the post-Billy era has been the hardest. Snowbird battled a significant medical scare in recent years, leading to surgery and lifestyle changes. Chemo, recovery, and physical limitations forced her to rethink the future she once imagined. Life became less about wilderness adventure and more about health, doctors, and family care. Rain, just a teenager when the show peaked, became an adult in public. The weight of grief after losing her father hit her harder than viewers realized. Now, she protects her privacy fiercely, avoids interviews, and stays focused on personal healing. Though they avoid attention, fans still watch, hoping these two find stability in lives shaped by chaos before adulthood even began. Why the Browns still matter in 2025? Reality TV has produced hundreds of families, but very few became cultural symbols. The Browns did, in part because they felt different. They rejected technology, they built homes from scratch, they lived like characters from another century. And now that era is over. But what remains is bigger than television. Their 2025 story reflects harsh truths rarely shown on screen. Fame ends, money disappears, family fractures, health fails. But every time fans think the Browns are gone, somebody makes a comeback or a confession or a new opportunity emerges. Whether they like it or not, the Browns are still a story America is watching.